is the most positive book. Every day, more than 3,000 fetuses are being aborted in India after they identified that they're females. According to the statistics of 1996, US Department of Justice, 2,713 women are being raped every day. Every 32 seconds, one woman is being raped. I've been raped in US until the time I'm here. Islam has the solutions to the problems of the West.
Glory be to Allah, all praise to Allah. There is no God but Allah. Allah is great. All power and might belong to Allah, the Most High, the Great.
We made peace a symbol of ours. In the name of peace we gather here now. Oh Lord, please make these days of ours on this earth filled with peace.
The prayer is not the exact translation of the Arabic word Salaah, because to pray means to beseech, to ask earnestly, like how you pray or beseech in a court of law. The moment you hear the word programming, you start thinking of a computer. If you allow me to call the human being a machine, I would say it's the most complicated machine on the face of the earth. It is much more complicated than the most advanced computer in the world. To prevent our mind from wandering, we should recite the Arabic portion and simultaneously recall the meaning of the things you are reciting in the Salah. The moment you follow the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are doing ibadah, you are doing worship. If you abstain from the things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited you from doing, you are doing ibadah. Many people have the misconception that Salah is the only form of ibadah. In fact, Salah is the most important form of ibadah, but it's not the only form of ibadah. Following the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ibadah, and Salah is the most important form of ibadah. Salah can also mean rendering obedience. You can only be obedient if you know what you're reciting in your Salah, if you know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you to do. Therefore, it's compulsory that every Muslim should know what he is reciting in his Salah. He should also read the Holy Quran. If he doesn't understand Arabic, he should also read its translation, its meaning, so that he can implement on the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are various dangers if a person doesn't offer Salah. There are chances your faith can become weak, or it can even get lost. Because the human being thinks that the well-being and honor that he has is due to the worldly material things, and he goes away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is lack of discipline when he goes away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To acquire the worldly desires, the material things, there are chances that he may do foul play and go away from the Sirat al-Mustaqim, from the straight path. There is lack of inner peace. Irrespective how much wealth a person has, the wealth cannot gain him peace. And the reason that the people don't offer Salah is due to lack of knowledge. The Holy Quran says in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse number 185, Kullu nafsin zaikatul maut. Every soul shall have a taste of death. and you shall have your total recompense on the day of judgment. And only he who is saved from the hellfire and is admitted to the gardens shall have achieved the objectives of the life. For verily, the life in this world is a mere deception of goods and chattels. There are various benefits of offering salah. Salah is a way of life. It caters to the spiritual aspect of your soul and the physical needs of your body. The salah, it increases your faith. It strengthens your faith. The Holy Quran says in Surah Anfal, chapter number 8, verse number 2, that the true believers are those who, when Allah is mentioned, feel a tremor in the heart. And when His signs are rehearsed, it strengthens their faith and they put their complete trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Holy Quran says in Surah Fatiha, chapter 1, verses 5 to 7, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Thee alone we worship, thee alone we ask for help. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Show us the straight path, the path of those who have earned high favor, and of those whose path is not wrought, nor who go astray. It increases the discipline of your life. A true Muslim, he starts his day by offering the Fajr Salah. And in the Fajr Salah, the Muazzin, in the Adhan, he also adds, As-salatu khairun minan nawm. That Salah is better than sleep. Offering prayer is better than sleeping. And a true Muslim, at intervals, he offers Salah. And he ends his day with the Isha Salah before he goes to sleep. The Salah, it also improves the social conditions. The congregational Salah, it increases the brotherhood, the fraternity, the unity, and is an example of equality. The solidarity increases. When the people of the community, they meet each other, and the love and affection between them increases. The Holy Quran says in Surah Hujurat, chapter 49, verse number 13, Ya ayyuhan nasu, inna khalaqnakum min zakrin wa unsa wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qaba'ila lita'arafu inna akramakum indallahi atqakum innallaha alimun khabir. O humankind, we have created you from a single pair of male and female, and have divided you into nations and tribes, so that you shall recognize each other, not that you shall despise each other. And the most honored in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the person who has taqwa, who has righteousness. And Allah is all-knowing, full of wisdom. The criteria for judgment in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not caste, it's not color, it's not creed, it's not wealth, it's not sex, but it is taqwa, it's righteousness, it's God consciousness, it's piety. The Holy Quran says in Surah Humazah, chapter 104, verse number 1, وَيْلُلْ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. Woe to every kind of scandal monger and backbiter. The Salah prevents us from scandal mongering and backbiting. The Holy Quran says in Surah Hujurat, chapter 49, verse number 11 and 12, Ya ayyuhal lazina amanu. O you who believe, let not men amongst you laugh at others. You may never know that the latter may be better than the former. Let not women laugh at others. You may never know that the latter may be better than the former. Do not defame. Do not be sarcastic. Don't call each other with nicknames. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, O you believe, avoid suspicion. For suspicion in many cases is a sin. Do not spy on one another. Neither speak ill about people behind the back. That means don't backbite. Are you ready to eat the flesh of your dead brother? The Holy Quran says that if you backbite, it is as though you're eating the flesh of your dead brother. Because eating the flesh of your dead brother is double crime. Eating flesh of a human being is a sin. Even the cannibals who eat human beings, they don't eat the meat of their own brother. So the Holy Quran says, if you backbite, you are doing double sin. It is as though you are eating the flesh of your dead brother. Speaking ill about someone without proof is a sin. Speaking ill about someone behind the back is double sin. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says and gives the answer, nay, you will abhor it. The Salah, it increases truthfulness and honesty in the business and the daily dealings. As I said earlier, the Quran says in Surah Ankabut, chapter 29, verse number 45, Utlu ma uhiya ilayka min al-kitabi wa aqim salata inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. That recite of what we have revealed to thee of the inspiration of the book, and establish regular prayers. For verily, prayers restrain you from shameful and unjust deed. The Holy Quran says in Surah Isra, chapter 17, verse number 81, وَقُلْ جَالْ حَقْ وَزَاقَ الْبَاطِلِ إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوكَ. Say, truly, truth has arrived, and falsehood perished. For verily, falsehood is by its nature bound to perish. Salah teaches us that we should be truthful. A similar message is repeated in Surah Baqarah, chapter 2, verse number 42 and 43. That cover not the truth with falsehood, nor conceal the truth when you know it. The Quran teaches us to be truthful, to always be truthful. The Holy Quran says in Surah Baqarah, chapter 2, verse number 188, that eat up not your wealth on vanities, so that you may use it as a bait for the judges to eat up little bit of somebody else's property, knowingly or unknowingly. The Holy Quran says that bribing is forbidden. You should not bribe. It gives us a way how to lead a truthful life. The Holy Quran, it brings a person inner peace. As it says in Surah Ra'd, chapter 13, verse number 28, that verily, in the remembrance of Allah, hearts do find peace and tranquility. Means when you remember Allah, when you offer Salah, you have a peaceful life. You acquire tranquility. It is the best way of communicating with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Quran says in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse number 153, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu sta'inu bis-sabri was-salah. O you who believe, seek Allah's help with patient perseverance and prayers. Inna Allaha ma sabirin. For verily, Allah is with those who patiently persevere. Allah says, Inna Allaha ma sabirin. For verily, Allah is with those who patiently persevere. Besides the social benefits, the spiritual benefits, and the other benefits, in Salah, we also acquire physical and medical benefits. In Salah, when we do ruku, that is bow down, extra blood flows into the upper part of the body. The spine becomes supple. The spinal nerves are nourished. It relieves backache and pain. It's a good posture for flatulence. When we come back to the ar-rafu position, that is after ruku, when we stand up, the blood which has entered in the upper part of the body comes back to normalcy and the body is relaxed. When we do sujood, we put our forehead on the ground. It's the best position of Salah. It's the most important part of Salah. Daily, the human beings are propounded by electrostatic charges from the atmosphere, which gets precipitated in the central nervous system, which gets supersaturated. These extra electrostatic charges have to be dissipated and discharged. Otherwise, you will have headache, neck ache, muscle spasms, etc. No wonder people regularly take tranquilizers and drugs to relieve the pain. These extra electrostatic charges have to be dissipated and discharged. For example, how do you have a heavy electric appliance? It normally has a 3-pin plug. The 3rd pin and the 3rd wire is for grounding, for earthing. Similarly, when we do sujood, we put the forehead on the ground. And the best part of the body, the brain, and the best part of the brain, the frontal lobe, is put on the ground, which causes grounding or discharging of these extra electrostatic charges. That does not mean that if you put your hand below the musalla, the prayer mat, you'll get a shock. But there is dominance of the frontal lobe. And the thinking capacity of the brain is not on the top of the brain, it is in the frontal lobe. Therefore, we do sujood in salah. When we do sajda, there is extra blood supply going to the brain, which is responsible for a healthy brain. When we do sujood, extra blood flows into the skin of the face and the neck, which increases the blood circulation of the skin of the face, which is very healthy, especially in cold seasons. It prevents diseases such as fibrositis and chilblains. When you do sujood, there is drainage of the paranasal sinuses, and there is less chances you'll have sinusitis, that is inflammation of the sinuses. Normally, the human beings throughout the day, they have an erect posture. And the maxillary sinus, the ostium, the opening is in the upper medial part. And the secretions, because of the erect posture, cannot be drained. Therefore, in sujood, it's like inverting a pot which is full. It causes drainage of the maxillary sinus. It also causes drainage of the secretion of the frontal sinus, the ethmoidal sinus, and the sphenoidal sinus. And there's less chances the person will have sinusitis, or if he's suffering from sinusitis, it's a natural treatment. Sujood is also a natural treatment for a person suffering from bronchiectasis, which causes drainage of the secretions of the bronchial tree. It prevents the accumulation of the secretion in the bronchial tree. It's also helpful in other pulmonary diseases in which secretions are accumulated. Besides secretions, other things like dust and bacteria can also accumulate. It's helpful in all these diseases. Normally when you breathe, only 2/3 of your lung capacity is utilized. The remaining 1/3 of the lung, the air remains in. Only 2/3 air comes in as fresh air and goes out. The 1/3 air is called as residual air. When you do sujood, the abdominal viscera, they press against the diaphragm. And the diaphragm, it presses against the lower lobes of the lung, which causes exhaling of even this residual air. So once the residual air goes out, more fresh air comes in, which is responsible for a healthy lung. When you do sujood, due to decreased gravitational force, there is extra venous return from the abdominal organs. The venous return of the abdominal organ, it increases. The sujood and ruku, it's a good posture against femoral and esophageal hernia. It's also a prophylaxis treatment in a person suffering from hemorrhoids, which in layman's terminology is called as piles. It's also helpful in the prolapse of the uterus. When you do sujood, your weight is concentrated on the knees when your legs are flexed. And the soleus and the gastrocnemius muscles, the muscles of the leg, are also called the peripheral heart because it has an extensive venous return, which is responsible for increasing the venous return of the lower half of the body. And it also causes relaxation of the lower half of the body. When you do sujood, your knees are touching on the floor, including your hands and your forehead. This posture is helpful in disease of the cervical spine because it is helpful in the intervertebral joints. The posture of the sujood is also helpful in cardiac diseases. When a person rises from sujood in the jalsa position, in the squatting position, the blood which has flowed in the upper part of the body comes back to normalcy and his body is relaxed. There's extra blood flowing in the muscles and nerves of the thigh and the back. The back muscles are relaxed. It's useful and helpful in constipation and indigestion. It's helpful in a person suffering from peptic ulcer and other stomach ailments. When a person gets up from the squatting position to the qiyam position, to the standing position, his weight is concentrated on the ball of the feet, which improves the strength of the back muscles, thigh muscle, knee muscle, and leg muscle. There are various benefits, physical and medical, when we offer salah. But we Muslims, we don't offer salah for these medical benefits. These are only side dishes. We offer salah to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to thank Him. We offer salah for guidance, to be programmed towards righteousness. These side dishes, the medical benefits, may attract a person who has less faith or may attract a non-believer. But we Muslims, our main course is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it's a commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is our biryani. There are some people who may ask that we see a few Muslims who offer salah 5 times a day, but yet they cheat, they are not honest, they aren't righteous people. So how come when you say salah is a programming towards righteousness, few Muslims we know who offer 5 times salah, very regular, but yet they are not righteous? The answer to this question was given by the Qari in the beginning of a talk, and he recited verses from Surah Al-Mu'minun, chapter 23, verse number 1 and 2, which says, قَدْ أَفْلَاهَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Indeed, successful are the believers, those who pray with humility and attentiveness. Arabic word, khashi'un, is derived from khushu, which means humility and attentiveness. So Allah says, all those who offer salah with attentiveness and humility, they will indeed be successful. They will derive the benefits. But all those who only pray outwardly, without humility and attentiveness, they will not derive the benefits of salah. So these few Muslims who offer salah and do not derive the benefits and are not righteous, it is because they only offer the salah outwardly, without humility and attentiveness. And for a person to be attentive but natural, he should know the meaning of what is offering the salah, and he should follow the commandments what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives. For example, in the salah, if the imam after Surah Fatiha recites Surah Ikhlas and says, Qul huwallahu ahad, say He's Allah one and only. All the Muslims who come to the mosque to offer salah, they agree that Allah is one and only. No one says there is more than one Allah. Who is the imam giving guidance to? What the imam is doing, he is conveying the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the Muslims and saying, Qul huwallahu ahad, say He is Allah one and only. Go and tell to those people who do not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who do not believe Allah is one, go and tell them that say there is Allah one and only. So the imam is telling the Muslims, go out and tell to the other people who do not believe Allah is one, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one and only, and describe to them the concept of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many Muslims offer salah, but when they immediately finish their salah, the message what they received in the salah has no impact on their life at all. And the main reason is because they have not understood the message. So if you don't understand the message, how will you implement it?